Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're talking all about Cable, the time-traveling mutant who now has two sort of premier seeming uniforms, and people are divided on which one to get, especially with the FOMO, the fear of missing out on summer days for another year. Now I, for better and for worse, passed on this uniform a year ago, so I have just started playing with it again, and I've essentially had close to 6 months of playtime with Cable X of Swords because it came out back in February. Now, before that, his rotation was basically exactly the same. So if you haven't played Cable in a year or so, his rotation for summer days, even though this uniform is a year old, is exactly the same as it's always been. You just now have to incorporate the tier 3 skill. However, this changes pretty drastically, not pretty drastically, it changes somewhat with X of Swords. So that is the first big difference. And of course, this video is going to be a comparison of the two uniforms. The big thing for them, or one of the big things, is that the rotation gets changed, right? This rotation seems to be a lot more, you're not quite, it's a little bit more relaxed in the sense that you're not stacking all of the hits on one spot. But because of that, it's less synergistic with the CTP of energy, because you've got all these hits happening at different points in time, which means that this hit or that hit or that skill or the other skill could trigger your proc. And with the CTP of energy or regular proc, you can't have that happen, right? You need it all to land on one particular moment in time. Whereas, as far as, we've been concerned for the past 3 years since Cable's been around, CTP of energy, CTP of energy, CTP of energy. It's just the best choice for him. You just stack all of the damage on one skill, and he just goes absolutely berserk. But it makes for completely different playstyles. So I'm gonna give you guys the very brief summary up front, and then I'm gonna show you through some Null gameplay how this sort of shakes out. And we are gonna be swapping his CTP of rage over to an energy, although ultimately I would like to go back to rage. But anywho, here's what I think. And again, this is just my opinion. You don't have to take it for the gospel. I think that X of Swords is going to be better overall now, given the circumstances of the game. I'm not talking about your account, I'm talking about the game. I think X of Swords is going to be better because it's going to give you a competitive ABX score until you can build up Mephisto, who will eventually eclipse both X of Swords and Summer Days. So it'll give you something, a blast hero for then, and he can still perform relatively well in World Boss Legend and very well in World Boss Ultimate and other content. But I do think that this is the better overall, like the future-proofed uniform, so to speak, and it synergizes much better with a CTP of Rage than with an Energy. You could probably make it work with an Energy, but yeah, I think Rage is the way to go, and I think X of Swords is a little bit ahead of Summer Days, and it's sort of future-proofed that way, and it's cheaper. It is cheaper, and it's on sale every month with the general uniform sale, not like Summer Days, which is only on sale once a year. Now, Summer Days, on the other hand, here's what's good about that. It's the old Cable rotation. If you're very, very good at that, and you're very, very good at skill canceling, and you like to see everything stack up, bang, 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 then you're gonna love the old Cable uniform. This old Cable uniform, like all the other iterations of Cable, is best with a CTP of energy. It has the advantage now of being able to be used with a CTP of energy that's been modified to being either mighty or brilliant. And if you go and look at the top score, the top ranked players, they've all got a brilliant or a mighty energy on their Summer Days Cable, not their X of Swords Cable or their 10 of Swords Cable. So you really have to decide that. I think that's going to be the biggest gameplay and resource difference. If you don't have any CTPs of energy, let alone reforged CTPs, I think this uniform is a pass. And on the other hand, if you don't have any rages, or you don't really like the rage gameplay and the style, then this one's a pass. And then, of course, there's also Pierce. Pierce synergizes really well with the CTP of energy. Ignore Dodge also synergizes really well with the Null World Boss Legend. So because of that, a mighty or a brilliant CTP of energy Cable will appear to be a lot stronger in World Boss Null content than the X of Swords Cable does. And that's true. So Summer Days technically has a higher ceiling for both World Boss Legend and ABX. However, you have to pay. If you're talking about regular Rage Cable and regular Energy Summer Days, they're much closer in value, to the point where I don't think it's worthwhile dropping almost 1,800 crystals, and then hoping that he doesn't get another uniform or whatever, because, anything that happens to lower the value of this uniform, and it's kaput, because it only comes around once a year. Anywho, without further ado, so that's sort of what I think, that's how I think it shakes out. We're going to be jumping into stage 21 of World Boss Null. Now, Cable can go all the way up to 14. because he's a male against Null, and then he can't do 15 to 19 because it's human and he's mutant, and then he can do 20 to 24. I do think that unless you get like a Brilliant or a Mighty, I do think that this is really the cap for him. He really can't go much higher than 20, 21, even with the amount of Pierce that I have, especially because there aren't any supports. We're going to have to go with this team up here because we don't have any Ignore Dodge. And this is a big thing for Cable, and this is, again, why Energy seems to synergize so well. He doesn't even have Ignore Dodge on his tier 3. He has no Ignore Dodge anywhere on his kit. And basically, as far as the stats go and as far as the buffs go, his kits are almost identical. His new 5th skill has a bunch of extra buffs, the most important one being that little damage proc, which is kind of nice. It's a mini version of Ghost Rider's 3rd skill where he throws the chain out and then he spits fire at you. So this uniform does have more buffs. This uniform also has the uniform buff being active all the time. So he just gets a flat 30% crit damage and a flat 35% chain hit as soon as you enter the battle. It doesn't necessarily show up on the, I'm not sure if the crit damage shows up on the details page, but it's a uniform effect. So as soon as you jump into the thing, the little purple uniform effect icon pops up and it's gone, and it's up. This one, on the other hand, he doesn't have that 5th skill proc buff. You can see here, it's just got the continuous attack, and then his buff, his crit damage and his chain hit buff is only active when you use Plasma Shower, his 5th skill. So because of that, you're gonna see there is a bit of a rotation difference. There's actually 2 or 3 different rotations you can use for Summer Days Cable. So yeah, I digress. Let's go. We're gonna have 50% Ignore Dodge from his lead, and then we're gonna have another 40%. So we've got 90% Ignore Dodge. This is the uniform that I like better, and this is the uniform that I'm more comfortable playing. So we're gonna open with this one. However, I have been practicing behind the scenes with Summer Days. So it's a pretty straightforward 3, cancel 4, cancel 2, cancel 5, you proc. He does his damage. You can splash in the 1, you can splash in the 2. Again, you have faster rotations and faster animations, and then you can just splash after you cancel 5. About a second in, you can splash into 6, cancel that into 2, into 1, into 4. You get knocked by the cage, but it's a pretty, honestly, being a day 1 MFF player who went through the entire Cable meta. Okay, I can tell you that this is so much more relaxed, this rotation, than all of the other Cable rotations. Well, than the other standard Cable rotation. We're just going to do a minute's worth of gameplay. Here, we're going to get caught by both cages. So just factor that into the comparison. I'm not going to try to dodge them. It's very, very hard for Cable to dodge the cage. He doesn't dodge it with his tier 3, and he does not dodge it with the co-op skill successfully. Now, as you can see here, this is a very straightforward rotation because it's similar to other characters, most other characters, where you're not canceling the tier 3, right? You're building out, you're doing 2 normal rotations, and in the second rotation you're canceling 5 into 6. So it's 3 4, it's 2 3 or 3 4 2 5, 3 4 2 5 6, and then again you can splash in the 1 and 2 in between there, sort of ad-libbing, because it's a rage proc, right? So he gets down about 20 bars in a minute, and I've consistently gotten about this much. Notice I also turned the SFX on. You're like, why am I seeing Cable in this funny angle? SFX on is actually much better for Cable. He doesn't jump back as far as he would without the SFX, so you can easily cancel into other skills. So if you're having trouble with Cable like Supergiant, like Cull Obsidian and Corvus, where you pop the Awakening or tier 3 skill and they jump way, way back and then you can't cancel it, turn the SFX on, and he actually apparently does more damage with the SFX on, which is wild. Now, here's where the comparison gets kind of tricky. I know that the Summer Days Cable is not good with a rage, but we're going to try it anyways just so you guys can see. Again, I'm going to show both uniforms with both CTPs, so don't fret, okay? But I am going to mimic what his energy rotation would look like. I'm not going to play this as though he had a rage, because it doesn't make sense anyways. It really doesn't make sense. So we're going to do 3 4 2 5, and then you just sit on the 5, and you really just sit here, and you sit here, and you sit here, and then you do 3 4 2 5, and then you have a couple of options. You can delay the tier 3 to the next rotation, or you can pop the tier 3. So here we're gonna get knocked by the cage. We do squeeze in a little bit of damage because of the residual 4 there. So we're gonna do 3 4 2 5 6. This is one of the rotations that you can do. This one I actually could have pulled off in the last rotation. Like I could have pulled this off in the second rotation, but the other rotation that you can do instead is you can do 3, 4, 2, 5, 6, 5, basically. So in that one, you would have to delay the tier 3. So we're going to get caught by this cage here. But basically, with Summer Days Cable, you have a couple of options. You can cancel the 6 into 5, which looks like that. Or you can cancel the 5 into 6. Or you can do the regular rotation. And then on the next, you can see it's pretty similar. It's honestly pretty similar. So Summer Days is going to end up being better when you factor in Pierce and a CTP of energy. But basically, let me show you what I'm talking about. Basically, Cable's 5th skill with this Summer Days uniform basically almost does as much damage as his 6th skill. It's very, very similar. The 5 and the 6 for Summer Days are very, very similar. And unlike the X of Swords Cable, where you can cancel and still get a lot of the damage, you can't cancel Cable's 5 and get the damage. But you still need to press 5 to get the chain hit to activate. That's what's kind of annoying about this Summer Days Cable. We're gonna get stunned here by the cage, which was not what I wanted, so we're gonna have to reset this. But yeah, there's sort of a conundrum that you're in, because you're not really getting more damage from 6 than you would from 5, and you want the chain hit from 5, right? You want all that accumulated chain hit. So you really have those two options available to you. But again, it's 3, 4, 2, 5, and you proc, and then I'll show you the rotation here where we just go right into 6. So here we're going to go 3, 4, 2, 5, and then 6. And so then this would be another version of the... You see the Rage proc is like super duper delayed. This is awful. Would not happen with an energy. And then the other rotation would be you do your standard rotate. And this is kind of the bummer, is that you can get interrupted at times because he's just standing here. So Ancient One is really important, but you only have the invincibility on the 5. Okay, this is the other rotation here, where we basically do 3, 4, 2, 5, 6. Or no, sorry, this is the standard rotation, where you don't cancel 6. Sorry. The other rotation is where you go like this, and then after you've built up the tier 3, you basically just do the opposite, which is you actually have to wait a 3rd rotation, because you can see you build it up here, but you see, without Ancient One, I get stunned. So here would be the other rotation, and you can do this one in ABX to some effect. You do 3, 4, 2, 6, 5, and you're just pressing 6 to get the buff. And you're going right back to 5. And you can see here, again, it's very similar, but he does have different rotations. Whereas Kid Cable, it's pretty much the same rotation regardless. For Summer Days Cable, you do have different options. But yeah, this one appears to do better in ABX. He does better in ABX content if you have a Mighty or a Brilliant. But if you don't, if you just have a regular energy or regular rage, and I can't show you the ABX content right now, but in that case, if you're talking ABX content, Kid Cable would be better with just a regular CTP, because rage tends to perform much better than regular energy does in ABX, and so he sort of has that. Kid Cable has that advantage. But we're going to swap now to an energy here. We're going to choose a 38% or 39% ignore dodge, 200 procs. We get the maximum amount of chain hit. Chain hit obviously is going to benefit the Summer Days Cable, because having a continuous skill means he's always going to have more ignore dodge. I mean, not a chain hit, sorry. We don't need as much ignore dodge because we now have the 40%, but we're just going to stay with this here. It doesn't really matter because we just want to make sure that nothing's going wrong. But sorry, yeah, because his 5th skill is continuous hits, he's going to have more chain hit. So let's see what happens now. 3, 4, 2, 5. Chain hit, and you can see a big burst of damage at the beginning here. Very, very nice. And you can actually hold it for a little bit longer. 3, 4, 2, 5. There we go. We're going to try both different rotations here with Cable, but let's see here. We're going to just purposely get hit by the cage. We don't really care here. We're going to factor that into our final decision. And then we're going to do 3, 4, 2, 6, 5. That is the one where we are not canceling 5, but we're just using 6 for the buff. 3, 4, 2, 5. And so if you had a Mighty or Brilliant CTP of energy, after you've done the 5, you would just run around for a few seconds to trigger that beatdown activation. 3, 4, 2, 6, 5. There we go. He's rocking out. Rocking out. All right, good stuff. We got interrupted. 3, 4, 2, 5. It's a pretty... This is honestly not that bad of a rotation. I may have exaggerated its difficulty. So we get down about 5 bars more, 5, 6 bars more, and we actually didn't even try the other rotations. So you know what? Let me just try that one to see how much damage we do. 3, 4, 2, 5, 6. And honestly, yeah, you can barely tell the difference in damage between doing 6 cancel 5 and 5 cancel 6. I honestly think 6 cancel 5 is more damage, but yeah, you be the judge of that. So we did it in about minute 15. I've never tried Kid Cable with a CTP of energy, so I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna basically be doing the same rotation, except I'm not gonna do 2. 2 for Summer Days Cable, he releases these like energy balls, and it's easy to cancel. Some X of Swords Cable, he does like a slash and he moves around. I don't like movement skills for canceling, so I'm really just gonna do this here. But yeah, he's definitely gonna have fewer hits, so I don't see this keeping up. Okay, I tried to, yeah, okay, I still think I need to do 2 and 1 to build up my tier 3, because with Kid Cable, you definitely want to build up the tier 3. Like you do need the tier 3 for him, and you can cancel 5 and still get a lot of the damage. So this is actually pretty good. I don't know why I thought he was so bad with energy. He's actually doing pretty good. This is not as hard as I thought it was gonna be, huh? So yeah, you can just insta cancel 2. Oh, we still nailed it. Nice. Okay. Not as many hits, but still kind of. And again, you can cancel. Huh. So they're very, very similar. This is the bottom line. Even with, like, you know, with no pierce, with a little bit of pierce, with a lot of pierce, you're really not going to see much difference. You're really going to see 2 very similarly stacked characters until you introduce reforged CTPs, or if you value one game mode over another and you do or don't have reforged CTPs. So again, just to give you guys a quick recap, honestly, I think these 2 uniforms are very, very similar. I just personally like X of Swords more, but seeing his production, I actually might just keep the energy on him because I'm not using him in ABX anymore. This has been a recent thing where Mephisto has basically just eclipsed Cable for everything, like for every day of ABX that they're both available. So yeah, that is what that is for ABX. But assuming you don't have Mephisto because he's crazy expensive, if you only have regular CTPs, this guy wins out for ABX. If you have Mighties and Brilliance, this guy is going to win out for ABX, but you're going to have to adopt a potentially wonky playstyle where you cancel 6 into 5, or you turn on the SFX. For World Boss Legend, I honestly think it's very, very similar. Again, whether you're using Rage or Energy for either uniform. Obviously, Energy is going to be a little bit better against Null because of the Ignore Dodge and the way that Chain Hit synergizes with Pierce. But, you know, if you're not the best person to proccing, if you didn't have 2+ years of practice with Cable, it might not come as easily to you. And then again, if you can introduce reforged Mighty or Brilliant energies, then obviously Summer Days Cable is going to take the cake there. But X of Swords is not bad. X of Swords is not bad at all, and the good thing is he has his chain hit up all the time. So if you miss a proc or you whatever, or you accidentally don't press 5 but you go into 6 or whatever, the chain hit's always there. Whereas with Summer Days, the chain hit is only there when you press 5. So because of the limitations of Summer Days, because of the increased cost, and because of the limited availability, and the fact that he is not #1 for any game mode anymore, I personally think that that puts him a little bit behind X of Swords. But there are definitely arguments for Summer Days. So I honestly think it's a wash at the end of the day. Choose which one you like better, choose which one you have the equipment for that's going to suit the character better, and choose which one you think is cooler looking and has cooler animations or whatever. Maybe you really like Summer and splashing and water and stuff like that. Maybe you really like the, you know, Pepe Larraz X of Swords designs and the sort of story that Jonathan Hickman weaved for this whole reintroduction of the X-Men. However, I will say it's still bugging me. Man, I really underestimated how good he would be. Like it's pretty much the same. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go and like do a deeper dive here with energy now on him, because like on this Cable, because I'm pretty happy with it. I think he can definitely work with it for World Boss Legend specifically. And I had kind of given up on him for World Boss Legend, aside from being a leadership, right? The 50% ignore dodge leadership. But yeah, the good thing about Cable is you use his leadership and an energy, and you don't need any ignore dodge strikers. You don't need any ignore dodge supports. You don't need Valkyrie, nothing. Because he basically caps, right? 40% on the thing, 50% on the lead, boom, 90%. He doesn't have it on the skills, but he doesn't need it. So yeah, basically, do whatever you want. I don't know. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know which one you prefer and why. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.